So speaking of tracking people,
Yeah.
do you get, especially with the SIG and stuff,
Yeah.
because I remember when I came on and I started seeing some of the capabilities that we had, and that was, I mean, shit, that was 10, 15 years ago now. So I can't even imagine what we have now, but when I left, it made me very paranoid knowing how effective we are. Do you have any paranoia?
Well, I mean, it's paranoia is the wrong word. I mean, it's all self-inflicted. So, what do you want to do every day? I'm an idiot. I'm on Twitter and all family members are on Facebook, Instagram. So, how do you think we do this stuff?
Yeah.
So Americans have this incredible willingness to put their whole life on social media. Well, guess what? That's a targeting package for someone.
Yeah.
Now, you can choose not to do that. Now, I'm probably not disciplined enough, and I tweet about too many stupid things like my love of the Red Sox and all this kind of stuff. But ultimately, I'm here in Nashville now, so we went out to Bourbon Steak last night. Well, I was tweeting about it today.
Yeah.
That's the best damn steak I ever had. I told you about my $112 steak for my wife and I's 25th wedding anniversary. But ultimately, is we there's so much out there, and so that is sort of when you talk about SIG, and I'm talking about open source. But so an adversary, and just as we can track everything about you, what are your so Shawn, I don't know your social media profile, but if you're just kind of like the average American, we can probably tell where you're going 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
And that means our adversaries can do this to us as well. And so there is, but a lot of it is what we decide. We elect to put. Some of my friend, one of my friends, lives out in Montana now, and he's like off the grid.
Yeah,
for this reason.
I get
holy
super
shit.
paranoid
Yeah.
sometimes, and I do the whole turn the phone off, throw it in the other room,
Yeah.
go outside, and I still do that.
Right.
And
But you're right. Because I mean, it's not. I mean, you can be paranoid about our own government. You can be paranoid about our adversaries. But I mean, I don't know. Probably a private detective can be tracking you. Again, it's everything we have. Your entire life is on your cell phone, your computer. I mean, so I don't know. What did I do the other day? I was looking at. My wife and I are now obsessed about buying an RV. So I was on the internet, Googling RVs. These I saw them here. These little small Winnebago Revell. It's pretty cool. They're too expensive. Well, goddamn! Every time I jump on my social media now, boom, there's some algorithm. RVs pop up everywhere.
Yeah.
And so it's just it's a kind of thing where you can be a little paranoid. But again, that's how how adversaries can track us. That's how we track them, and it's just that's the world. So. I mean, it's a whole other conversation. But imagine trying to run espionage operations, trying to become as a case officer. You got to go run a surveillance detection route, but you have that, the kind of the advent of social media and how people can track you, and you got to go black.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah. I can imagine. Earlier offline, we were talking, and you had mentioned, I believe it was one of my colleagues saved your life.
Yeah.
And got a agency star.
Intelligence star, sure.
Can we go into
Absolutely. So this was it was a raid in Baghdad. We're going after a high value target with Dev Group and one of your colleagues, security guys, former SEAL as well. I can't say his name, but we caught someone who we had to do a quick kind of battlefield interrogation on. Who we thought would have knowledge of where the HVT was. And the initial search failed to find a giant kind of machete, huge knife on him. And I'm in this small vehicle afterwards. And as you remember, how you position yourself in these is really important. So one of your old colleagues, we put the guy in the back here. Your old colleague is here, so he could have kind of a view just across the seat. And this guy goes down and pulls this giant knife out and lunges at me. And can we say the old outfit where you were at? Do we say that or not?
Yeah.
This is, from the GRS staff, security staff. He pulled out his Glock, put it right to his head, and didn't shoot him. But that was it. That guy would have just jammed that knife right in me. So obviously I was quite indebted afterwards. The GRS officer received the Intelligence Star, which was one of the agency's highest awards for bravery. Certainly 100% warranted. Of course, as you know, with your old outfit, it turned into, it wasn't really a giant knife, giant machete. It was a little plastic, bread knife. So all your colleagues gave him shit for years and years. But I'll tell you one thing, that was pretty crazy. So out of all the times, that was close.
Yeah.
And afterwards, I was just like, and it happened so quickly afterwards. I was like, what the fuck just happened? And then I turned to the SEALs. I was like, you didn't fucking search the guy well enough. They're like, hey, sorry about that. And I was like,
my bad.
But you know what? Afterwards, that guy talked, and later that night, we caught a huge HVT.
Really?
And actually, it was so just that was the it was the pace of operations there where, we were. I was joking before as we were talking. I don't think I took a shower. We didn't. I didn't know running water. I didn't shower for 6 weeks. It was wild. But we were running every night trying to catch. This is remember the Saddam Hussein's deck of 55.
Yeah.
The old regime figures. But we had some enormous, huge successes there. It was. I almost bought the farm on that one. And again, it was the GRS officer saved my butt. Turned out to becoming a dear friend of ours. And talk about loyalty and camaraderie. I remember years later, and it's probably from his time in the teams, but also from us. I remember calling him one time, and I don't know, this was a couple years after that. My kid was like 10 or 11, got into a fight at school, and this guy, I'm gonna accidentally say his name. I shouldn't. He was living down in Virginia Beach. He's like, I'll be there in 3 hours. I'm like, what are you doing? He's 11. He's like, I got it. He says, that was the loyalty. I'm like, no, you're not coming.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, but that's when you go back to the those. So whether it was in the streets of Baghdad with this, with GRS, or again with my team in Eastern Afghanistan, and think about all the deployments you did. That kind of camaraderie you can't miss.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you can't replicate. That's what I miss from being in the organization, because it's you look to the left and the right, and it's your brothers and sisters, and that's it. And a lot of times we're not thinking big picture on stuff. This is we have a job at hand. There's an operation at hand. I'm not thinking about the geostrategic value of Afghanistan or Iraq, but it's going through those times and just those intense moments. I've been getting rocketed every day for a year. I didn't have an alarm clock in Afghanistan for that whole year. It was hilarious. Yeah. Al Qaeda every day for a year, 6 a.m. 107 millimeter rockets coming down.
Damn.
Don't go running, Ben. Yeah. Every day they were stupid. They were too predictable, because then it sometimes didn't happen at night. Sometimes it happened when the helos would come in. But that's where you forge these relationships. And one of the things that I still do is there's a great little dive bar in Northern Virginia called the Vienna Inn. It's a famous agency hangout, but from the people I serve with, whether it's in places like Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, other places, we still meet up there, because those are the relationships that are really important to me. It has nothing to do with what they became later, how high they got in life. They don't give a shit about my career in terms of I was very senior at the end of my career. It's just remembering those times. Story after story. I mean, we just did a reunion there recently, and we're talking about he was a ground branch contractor, former Dev Group guy who loved animals, and we were co-located with the Special Forces team, and they fucking shot. And we had a dog, Curly the dog. I mean, I sent pictures of Curly back to my kids, fourth grade class, and these fuckers across the way shot our dog. They claimed he tried to bite one of the SF guys, and I remember going to the captain there, and both of us were like, "Fuck!" I said, "First of all, you killed our dog. Second of all, we got a crazy person back at our base who was a former sniper for Dev Group, who's now going to come after your guys." And he's like, "Seriously, for killing a dog?" He's like, "Yep, he loves animals. You guys are in deep shit." And he's like, "What are we going to do?" Just crazy stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
I've been, I've seen that happen many a times. Cats, dogs.
Yep. Love that damn dog. Curly the dog.
Hey everybody, I'm Shawn Ryan. Click here to subscribe to the Shawn Ryan Show YouTube channel for the hottest and most compelling interviews that you will not see anywhere else. I've also made a playlist of all the previous SRS episodes, so they're easy to find. You can find that right here.